This is the 2016 Mercedes AMG GTS, and it is one of the best, if not the best, cars that Mercedes has ever made after 2010. Now, I love this car, and it's the wildly popular successor to the famed Mercedes SLS, but there's a lot to it that makes it a truly special car. The way I like to think of it is this. Imagine your favorite luxury car, whatever that may be, just all of the equipment that you'd love, all of the amenities, and then picture your favorite supercar. Now, imagine that they met at a bar and went home, and a few things happened. 9 months later, this is what resulted. Today, I'm going to break down exactly what makes this car such an incredible combination of performance and luxury, tell you exactly why I love it so much, and tell you why you should come down to RPM Garage today to check it out, test drive it maybe, or even buy it. When it comes to the exterior of this car, it takes a lot of styling cues from the Mercedes SLS, even if it's not immediately visible. When you think back to the SLS and everything that it was designed to be, it was really a true grand tourer with a lot of heritage aspects like those gull-wing doors and the long hood that represented the original Mercedes SL back in the 1960s. This car characterizes some of those same exact traits. If you look, the long hood is so clearly home to a very large V8 engine, and it's designed in such a way in terms of body lines to look exactly like the Grand Tourer that it's supposed to be. You see, with this long hood, two-person cabin, and short boot, it offers exactly what you need for a long tour or road trip through back roads, countrysides, and long highways. You see, the whole point of a Grand Tourer is to be sleek, modern, stylish, but also offer storage space, comfort, and a gigantic engine. And this car is designed to accommodate all of those things. Under the hood is a 4-liter bi-turbo V8 engine, and I will obviously talk about that later on in the video because there is a lot to talk about when it comes to this car. I'll also talk a lot about the interior as well because, like I said at the beginning of the video, there are a ton of amenities and luxury touches to the interior that truly are special and are unique to this car. Finally, the boot. It is perfectly sized. It is surprisingly spacious despite the size of it from the exterior, and it would easily fit and accommodate a lot of stuff if I ever needed it. Now, obviously, because I'm just reviewing this car, I only had my camera stuff to pack, which still took up a fair amount of space in any car, and that is true with this car as well, but it accommodated it perfectly, and I would be more than comfortable taking it on a road trip. Now, when it comes to this car's sportiness, it is so obvious that there are a ton of touches to it to make it look like the performance car that it is. The way it has been sculpted and its body lines are designed almost purely for the sake of aerodynamics and downforce. And the way that these awesome AMG alloys look on the car with the white and black contrast looks incredible in my opinion. And they've carried that theme throughout the exterior with the black wing mirrors and the black roof. Frankly, I truly love how this car looks, and I could go on and on and on about it forever. However, I want to talk a little bit about what's under the hood because there is so much that needs to be said. So with that in mind, let's dive on in. If I personally owned a car that looked like this and had an interior like what I'm about to show you, I would be vastly disappointed if what was under the hood lacked in any way, shape, or form. Thankfully, Mercedes hasn't allowed that to happen. Under the hood here in front of me is a 4-liter bi-turbo V8 engine that produces 503 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque. What's even better about that is that it's sent solely to the rear wheels, which means that the driving experience that this car offers is wildly more fun than anything a 4-wheel drive Mercedes could offer. Not that I have any problem with the 4-wheel drive Mercedes and the 4MATIC line, I just prefer rear-wheel drive. And this is especially true here. See, this power is sent through a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic gearbox, which means that you have a ton of control over how much torque and power you want delivered at any given time based on where the tachometer is relative to the red line. At high RPMs, with traction control off, this car is such a breeze to let the tail loose, and it's so very fun to drive. That being said, you do have some options when it comes to how you want it to feel when you drive it. Inside the interior, there's a little dial that lets you choose between a number of driving modes, including Comfort, Sport, Sport Plus, and Race Mode. Now, all of these driving modes are insanely fun or great in their own unique way, and there's a hugely noticeable difference between all of them, and I'll talk about that both a little more in the interior and a little bit more once we've done a little bit more on the engine. Now, obviously, there's a couple of questions when it comes to Mercedes, and the first of which is reliability. Now, this car has hereabouts 18,000 miles on it, and I know that that's enough to cause some people a little bit of pause, but I can assure you that when it comes to Mercedes and their bi-turbo V8s, they've been working on them for decades now and have gotten this perfected to a science. So in reality, these cars are very reliable, especially given that the class of car that they're in typically doesn't last more than 30,000 miles. These easily can make it to 100,000 miles, and I would not be surprised if I saw them go more than that. At the end of the day, this is a bi-turbo V8 that is powered very, very similar AMG cars, and these have all lasted well closer to 100,000 miles, well above 100,000 miles, and have lasted for very, very long times. So 18,000 miles on a 2016 is nothing. Additionally, another concern that a lot of people has is the noise level, and some people have that concern, some people don't. That's why I wanted to talk a bit more about driving modes. When it comes to comfort and sport mode, the exhaust, which is very active, quiets down and is very, very soft. And I'll make sure to do a comparison at the end of the video. But when you put it in Sport Plus or race mode, the valves open up and this car has a fantastic roar that beautifully encapsulates what this car looks like, what this car produces in terms of performance, and what it feels like to drive. Obviously, I love driving this car, and there's so many features when it comes to the platform and suspension that I'm going to talk about later on that make it even better than just a normal V8 powered Mercedes. First though, I want to talk a little bit more about the interior and tell you exactly what makes this car such a luxurious thing to drive. So now that I have the car on and I'm in it, I wanted to talk a little bit about what makes this interior so luxurious. Because like I said at the beginning of the video, I said to think about the combination of your favorite luxury car and your favorite supercar. And the reason I said that was not just because of storage space or design, but was also because of the amenities offered inside. Now, before I dive into this knob right here, which is what I mentioned earlier when it comes to selecting drive modes, I have to talk about everything else going on around me. This interior is pure leather. It is leather seats, leather panels, leather trim. All of this is leather, some suede headliner. It is extremely nice to be in. And that's what I love about Mercedes, is that they never spare a single detail when it comes to their interiors. Even the infotainment has been fully equipped with navigation, Bluetooth, rear camera, and you can control just about every single aspect of the vehicle's driving experience from the vehicle settings menu, which you can control right here and right here. Additionally, this car has a number of buttons, dials, and knobs. Now, let's start to get into what I'm talking about with the performance. So, this knob right here, and I'll show up close-up for you, has comfort mode, individual mode, sport plus mode, and race mode. And it can just be turned like that, or as such, and it will change immediately how the car performs. And you can see that both here on the infotainment and here on the little display in between the two gauges. Now, what I love about that is it really gives you a sense of control over how the car is going to perform and react to how you want it to drive. In comfort mode, the suspension is softer, it's smoother, it's more comfortable to be in, and if I were to take it on a long trip, I would be more than comfortable sitting in this for hours on end without hesitation. After all, I've got a top-of-the-line sound system, extremely comfortable leather bucket seats, and an awesome AC, and really all I could ever want. However, if I decide I want to go faster, then I can put it in sport mode, sport plus mode, or race mode, if you heard that exhaust noise, and it'll sound better, it'll perform faster, and it'll be much more agile because the suspension firms up, the engine starts to rev at higher RPMs, the exhaust opens up, and you're in an almost different car when you're inside of it, and that is a truly special experience that I don't think every manufacturer is capable of doing, which is why this car is truly something of its own. And of course, Mercedes has really thought of everything. I mean, I even get a sunroof in this car, and I can't think of really any other sports car or supercar that has an option for one. It's got cup holders right here beneath the sliding panel, and again, that seems to be a rarity in the majority of sports and supercars. And of course, this awesome steering wheel, which is not relevant at all to the comfort of the car, but it just feels like you're in a race car. You've got carbon fiber paddle shifters. You've got this awesome chunky sports steering wheel that lets you feel like you're truly in control. And of course, you have a button that makes it louder, faster, and cooler. I mean, really, when it comes to this car, there is no length that Mercedes has not gone to make it enjoyable both inside and outside. And that is why I can't stress enough how much I love this car and how much, if I had the money, I'd buy it before any of you could even have the chance. That being said, let's talk a little bit more about the platform of the car, and then we'll finish up the video, do a startup for you where you can actually hear the exhaust a little bit better, and of course, give it a couple revs. I have to talk about one more thing that I left out when it comes to the interior. I'm 6'2", 6'3"-ish. If you check my Tinder profile, it'll probably say 6'4", but I often struggle to fit into cars like this. I mean, pretty much every supercar and exotic car doesn't really accommodate the big and tall section of any store, which is why I am so grateful for Mercedes, because as you saw, this car accommodates myself, my height, and my figure extremely nicely. I truly respect Mercedes for that, because so few other cars, no matter how much or how they cost, are very accommodating of that, and that is something that Mercedes has obviously gone above and beyond with. The platform of the car, though, like I mentioned with the adjustable modes for driving, it also has a severe adjustment on the suspension. You see, this is electronically controlled suspension, which means that if I put it in comfort mode, it will react as though it is in comfort mode. So it will be soft, it will be supple, and it will be something that you enjoy driving on a long trip. When you put it in Sport Plus and race mode, though, it hardens up beautifully, and the car becomes something completely different. It is agile, it is quick, and it is so easy to corner. Which is another flaw that older Mercedes have often had, is you often have a tendency to be a bit brash and tail happy in Mercedes AMGs, but this one is much more easy to control, which is not to say that you can't slide it very, very easily, but that if you chose not to, it very, very easy not to as well, no matter how much throttle you apply in any given corner. Finally, though, I have to talk about the price. Sorry for the head wipe there. It is brutally hot out here in South Texas, so I am obviously dying just a little bit. However, this car is listed for $89,991. Which sounds like a lot, and I grant you that. But given that it had an MSRP of $140,000 or somewhere in that neighborhood, that is a steal, especially given that this car only has 18-ish thousand miles and will likely go for many, many thousands of miles more. With that in mind, then, I have to urge you strongly to come to RPM Garage today to check it out, because it is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to own a car that performs unlike pretty much anything else on the market today, offers luxury amenities unlike anything else on the market today, and does just about everything that no other car can do. I'd like to thank each and every single one for watching today's video, and I hope you'll all like, share, and subscribe to the RPM. Our TikTok, Instagram, and our inventory list in the bio below, and I hope you'll check as well, and I'll catch you in the next one.